Hi, my name's Nikita Jariwala, and I'm a planner with J.L. Richards and Associates Limited. Usually when I want to explain to someone, what a planner does, I always ask them to think about their neighborhood. And when you're in your neighborhood, have you ever seen a sign? And usually the sign will say, on this property, there's a proposal for a development for 2 buildings, and there's usually contact information. And usually most people can identify with that because there's so much change happening everywhere. So as a planner, I get to be involved in that development process. So I get to work with clients who are developers, and with them I get to work on their concept, and I get to prepare a planning rationale to explain their project. When I work with the municipality, I get to review that project, I get to provide input and see how we can make that project as best as it can be. And ultimately, as a planner, we really work in a policy environment. So we can be working in environments where we're doing policy interpretation, trying to understand what it means. But we can also be working in terms of writing that policy and creating it. And luckily, at my role here at J.L. Richards, I get to do all of those different planning activities that I just described. When I was in my elementary school and high school, I was involved in a lot of sort of environmental protection, environmental groups. And so I knew that I was interested to do something related to environment. When I went into my undergrad, I went into a program called Environmental Urban Sustainability. And essentially it was a sister geography program. So it had a lot of components of physical geography, but it also had a lot of elements of human geography. So sort of thinking about where people live, why they live there, a lot of systems thinking thinking about transportation systems, buildings, development, roads. And I actually didn't know what planning was until I got into my undergrad. So once I started taking these courses, I figured out that really what I was doing was planning. And so I decided to stick with the undergrad that I was already in. And then once I completed that, I did some work for 2 years, and then I went into my Master's of Planning after that. I chose this profession because it involves working with a lot of people. And while that can be challenging at times, it's also a piece of the job that I really enjoy. So as I mentioned before, I get to work with a whole variety of different professionals, and that includes architects, urban designers, engineers of all kinds. And I really enjoy that interaction with people. And so as a planner, like I said, I get to work in a lot of different environments where I'm working with developers, I'm working with municipal clients, and also doing some research work. So ultimately, coming into this profession, I was inspired by all the different elements of planning, and coming into my role specifically at JLR, I love that in the consulting world there was the flexibility and the ability to choose your own adventure and to be able to work in all of these different types of projects and all of these different clients. I did my undergraduate degree at Ryerson University, now called Toronto Metropolitan University. The program that I studied was called Environment Urban Sustainability. After my undergrad, I took a 2-year break to explore some other opportunities. And after that, I decided I still wanted to go into planning. So I pursued my Master's of Planning at Queen's University. I think it's difficult for me to pick any one specific thing I like most about this profession because I like so many things in it. I really enjoy that the profession overlaps with so many others. So, one thing they say about a planner is to be a good planner, you need to know a little bit about everything. So by working in this profession, I've gotten to learn so much about how our communities are made and how cities function. And so through that process, I've gotten to just work with a lot of different people, got to work on a lot of different projects. And what I love is the variety. I love the variety that's available to me, and that includes doing research and working in a very solitude kind of environment, but also doing public consultations, working with the public, running like stakeholder engagement groups, working with like individual clients, working with municipal clients. And I really love the variety in the different types of topics in planning, but also the different people I get to work with. We are currently in a very unprecedented time to be a planner. There are a lot of changes coming from the provincial government in relation to the housing crisis. And so every year, every few months, we're constantly getting new information, new legislation from the provincial government, and it's been difficult to keep up with it. And so just, trying to stay on top of the changes, trying to understand and learn ourselves what those differences are, and then to further, bring that information forward to our clients and bring that information into our projects. There's just been so much change in such a short period of time, and it doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon. So as someone who's just newly come into the profession, the planning profession is seeing more change from a provincial legislative point of view in Ontario in the last few years than it has maybe since I think like 1998. So it's an interesting and very fast-paced kind of environment to just keep up with it all. Keep an open mind. As I've mentioned and have been talking about, there are just so many different types of planning, and really just keep an open mind to the opportunities, because planners are needed in a lot of different spaces. You could be a planner for a nonprofit, you could be a planner for a research firm, you could be a planner that works at the municipal level, regional level, provincial, federal level. You could be working for a conservation authority or in a consulting firm or in a very niche boutique firm that only does, let's say wayfinding. So I would say just keep your mind open to any of the opportunities that might come your way, and just be really open and interested to learn. There is so much to learn about planning, and the more you learn, the more you need to go and find out. So I would encourage anyone who's seeking a profession in planning to just talk to people, start learning things, keep up with the news is actually a good one as well, because there are so many hot topics in the news today, like housing, climate change, that has a direct impact on the planning industry and how it can affect the future development of our communities.